Welcome back to Starkiller Base. Today we have the featured match from round 1 of our face-to-face game store championship. On the left we have Shane playing Death Trooper FN 2199, and on the right we have Thomas playing eBaze, eSnap. Shane brought the Rebel Worm to the table and Thomas brought the Carbon Freezing Chamber. Looks like Thomas won the initiative roll and he's taken his battlefield, so Carbon Freezing Chamber will be the active battlefield for the match. That's the one where you can choose a character and the person doesn't get to roll that character die in the next round. Should be interesting. Baze's dice are definitely the strongest character dice in this matchup, so if Shane uses the battlefield against Thomas, Thomas could be in a bit of trouble here. But Death Trooper dice are not bad as well. So in case you're wondering, those red tokens down by Thomas's draw pile are his resources. He's a he said he's a newer player. This is his first tournament, and so he came out to have some fun, and he's a pretty cool guy. So it looks like Snap's gonna roll in here. Get a resource and a disrupt. And Shane plays out an Imperial Inspection. So there's only 2 sides showing right now out of all Shane's dice that have disrupt, but if he hits that, he can really put a wrench in Thomas's plans here. I do apologize for a bit of glare there. I actually have the polarizer lens on, and so there was just a lot of natural light here and it made it difficult, but you should be able to see things just well. So it looks like Thomas disrupted a resource from Shane, and then Shane played a promotion and drew a card on that Death Trooper there. So I think this is a tricky deck that Shane's built. I think that it looks like a deck where you should be just going after FN because it's going to have all kinds of weapons, but I think FN is actually the decoy in the deck, and it's got training and all that sort of thing to put on the Death Troopers to build them up. And I know it does run endless ranks, although it is kind of tricky to get 5 resources in a Death Trooper deck. So Overkill comes out on Baze, and if Shane can roll and get a disrupt, he can put that right back in Thomas's hand, which would be a real shame for Thomas. So you got a resource and a... So the Death Trooper comes in, gets a resource and a 1 range damage. Baze is rolling in here. He gets a 3 for 1, a +3 and a +2. So Thomas doesn't have the money, but he's got that snap die showing. The only problem with resolving the snap die, of course, is that as soon as he resolves the snap die, then Shane can claim without having to pay. But Shane is pretty far off from actually being in a position where he'd want to claim right now anyway. So chances are Thomas will be free to resolve that snap die anyway. Death Trooper number 2 comes in and adds another gun to the pool there. Thomas takes a resource, so now would be the time for Shane to do something, but he has no money, so obviously he has no die control cards in his hand, otherwise he would have resolved that 1 resource on the promotion there, and then played a best defense or something like that. So Snap takes 2 damage, and then 8 damage coming in on something. Let's see if Thomas falls for the FN trap, or if he's going to go for that Death Trooper with the promotion on there. When you're playing against a Baze Snap deck, particularly with this battlefield, you generally want to kill Snap first. I mean, he's going to choke out your resources and then make it easy for the Baze Snap deck to take the battlefield. So it looks like 8 damage went into the Death Trooper there, and then Shane claimed the battlefield and took away a Baze die, and then Thomas passed. So that's definitely a good start for this Baze Snap deck, man. 8 damage into that Death Trooper is, whew. I mean, most characters actually would be dead from 8 damage, so it looks like Thomas discarded an A180, which is a little bit questionable. I don't think he's played against Imperial Inspection much. If you're playing against an Imperial Inspection deck and you've got a 3 cost upgrade in your hand, you should probably keep it, overwrite that overkill with the A180, and that way if that disrupt side comes in, it doesn't ruin your plans. 3PO is actually a pretty good include as well. I'm not sure why he discarded that. I'm sure he's looking for something in particular, maybe a wingman or something like that. A lot of the time, the Baze Snap decks or anything that's got a couple of right characters in it would be looking for wingman to roll in fast. So the Death Trooper came in with a focus and a range damage, and then Baze came in with a +2 and a +3 off the hit and run here. And Snap's rolling in, and I'm sure Thomas is looking for a 1 range damage side on one of Snap's dice. Now against this Death Trooper deck, it would actually be kind of interesting to roll in Snap first, and if you hit the 2 disrupt, you could just instantly disrupt and get rid of the 2 resources, because a Death Trooper deck is looking for all the resources it can get, and it's pretty hard up for them. It doesn't have many pay sides, but I mean, if you're talking about playing at upgrades or getting endless ranks or something like that, you definitely have to get the money from somewhere, and most of it's going to come from you starting a new round. So it looks like Shane is flanking the base die. I'd be tempted to wait until there's a die that can be resolved, but if you're planning on rolling in your characters, then flank is only going to last for so long. If you've got all your characters exhausted, then it doesn't work anymore. So Snap's getting rid of Shane's other resources. And of course, if he had done the hit and run and gotten rid of both resources, then Baze's die would still be out there. So the disrupt comes in, and then Imperial Inspection hits that overkill, and away it goes. So you see, Thomas still has 2 resources there. So if he had kept the A180, he could have put it out there. And it's special. It's really useful in a matchup like this. So it's a shame. And C3PO would have been a good keep too. I mean, that 2 disrupt on Snap's die could be turned into 2 damage or 2 shields or 2 resources or whatever you need. So I'm not sure why he discarded it. Like I said, he was probably looking for a wingman. He found a hit and run, which is also useful, but I mean, generally I'd like to save my hit and runs for when I'm trying to get a kill, or when one of my characters is about to die and I want to get their dice in and resolve them. Obviously, if you're playing a deck where you just want to roll in and get unmitigated damage in, then that works too.
Okay, you're fine with that.
So it looks like Thomas is just taking a little takesy backs there, playing at overkill again. Imperial Inspection has been used already, so it's safe for now, but it's not going to get rolled out anyway. So FN comes in and gets a couple of sticks there, so there's 1 melee. And we'll see what goes on here. The tricky part about Snap is that a lot of the time you want to resolve Snap's die, but if it's the last die, then you're just giving your opponent the okay to claim. So right now, Thomas has got Shane in a good position where Shane has no money, so he can't claim. Thomas will probably be able to get the battlefield and get that base die back. The question is, which character die do you get rid of? I'd probably say one of the Death Troopers. They do have 4 damage sides. FN's got a pay side and, you know, less damage overall, so leaving his die out there is not too bad. So it looks like Thomas is playing Suppression, removing the overkill die, and then removing the 1 range damage there. I think he's doing that 1 action too early. If he had waited till Shane resolved that focus, then he could play Suppression and get rid of the 2 damage instead of the 1. So it looks like Thomas claimed and he's getting rid of one of the... He's taking FN's die, okay. I don't agree with that, but it's not a bad call. I mean, taking a die, it's not that much worse. So FN's die is going to be on Carbon Freezing Chamber for the next round, and then Snap takes 3 more damage. So hopefully Thomas can find a dug in or something like that to keep Snap alive for another round. Now, one thing I had happen today in the Store Championship, they were asking if you claim Carbon Freezing Chamber, can you remove the die from the pool immediately, or do you have to wait until it's rolled in or whatever? And the answer to that is that it doesn't matter. It's not die control for that round. It's just going to make it, when you go to roll your character in the next round, you just don't get that die. So Thomas found his second hit and run. He rolled in Baze. Gets a 3 range for 1, a +2, and a blank.
I do have money.
And there's just a little confusion on the accounting there. So there's no point resolving that +2 because the 3 will kill the Death Trooper there. So he takes out the Death Trooper that has the promotion there, and he can leave that +2 there to re-roll it or connect with a snap die or something like that. So that's not a bad use out of hit and run there. I mean, I guess it helps when he hits something. Vibro Knife comes in on FN, and Shane's going to be able to use FN's ability to roll it in and resolve it immediately. He gets a blank, which is not what he's looking for. Has an ambush, so he can chain it, although in this kind of deck you don't have a lot of money for doing that sort of thing. So the Death Trooper comes in with the ambush action, gets a 2 range, so Snap will only have 1 hit point left once that gets fired off, so hopefully Thomas can do something with it. I would definitely roll in Snap if I didn't have a die control, so that next action I can resolve some Snap dice, because otherwise Shane re-rolls that Vibro Knife and has a 1 in 3 chance of killing Snap. Definitely. So Shane is looks like he's in a bit of trouble here. He's only got 2 dice on the board right now, versus 5 on Thomas's side. And you know, say what you will about dice, but they definitely win games. They give you resources and do damage and all that sort of good stuff. I'll just take a minute to mention the new overlay here. I didn't mention it earlier. We've got the player names in the bottom left and bottom right corners, which is kind of cool. We did that based off of player feedback. And we moved the resources because what was bugging me is when there's a 3-character list versus a 2-character list, the resources on the overlay they had to be even, which was nice, but there was a gap between the 2-character list and the resources. So my little pet peeve got fixed there. So I hope you like the new overlay. So Snap rolled in, got a 1 range and a resource, and then Snap took 2 damage from that Death Trooper. So Thomas should probably look to be resolving some of these dice here. I would definitely resolve the range damage before that Vibro Knife gets re-rolled. I suppose if he's got a Rebel Assault, he can get rid of the Vibro Knife and guarantee that he'll be okay for a turn. I mean, once Shane loses that Vibro Knife die, he's just basically going to be passing until Thomas is done or resolves one of his Snap dice. So the issue Thomas has now is that as soon as he resolves that range damage, then Shane can claim. But with the 1 resource out on the Vibro Knife, he'd probably be able to do that anyway, so we'll see here. I just hope I don't keep seeing more 2-cost upgrades coming out of this deck. I mean, base Snap doesn't run a lot of 3-cost upgrades, so we'll see. There's the Dug In, which is really iffy. I'd probably put it on base. I mean, with that Vibro Knife there, Shane's got 2 cards in hand. Oh, he splits it up a bit, so that's not too bad. So Shane takes a resource, and at least he'll have to spend it to claim, but I wonder what he does. Thomas could pass here, but I guess then Shane would pass, and what happened to the die on the current freezing chamber? I guess it would go back into the onto FN because the claim ability hadn't been used. That'd be interesting. So Thomas may as well resolve that 3 damage. I mean, he's got it's 3 damage. So it looks like Thomas claimed actually to keep that base die in the pool, which that's not a bad call either. I mean, the 3 damage would be nice, but I mean, going first is also good, and of course, keeping your base die in play and keeping FNs out of play is a pretty big deal. So that might have been a good call. So we have the Star of Doom around here. This would be a nice place for a hit and run because you can get Snap's dice into the pool and resolve them before your opponent has a chance to kill him. But at least Thomas gets to go first and he can roll some dice in. So definitely rolling Snap first. Maybe look for some Disrupt or something like that. One card that's really good in the Snap base deck, particularly against a 3-character list, is Bombing Run. It lets you resolve a Disrupt side and does 1 damage to each of your opponent's characters. So it effectively makes it so that Snap has 3 damage sides in a sense, which is pretty nice. Even if your opponent has no money, you can resolve the Disrupt side with Bombing Run and do the AoE 1 damage anyway. So we'll see here. So Snap rolled in and didn't do a whole heck of a lot, but he can connect with the base dice really nicely. Looks like Shane played it an Aftermath, which is the support that gives him a resource each time a character dies. Base comes in with a 3-for-1, +2 and a blank. So he's got 6 damage showing on the board there. That's really nice. Shane played a Vibro Knife and could have killed Snap through those shields if he hit one of those 2 1 melee sides. So Thomas is probably holding his breath there. I mean, I guess the 1 isn't that big a deal when there's a 3 over there already, but it's definitely a good idea to resolve as many of Snap's dice as you can now. I'd probably be tempted to put them into the Death Trooper still, or FN. I don't know, those aren't redeploy, so it's not bad. So he's hitting FN for 6. When you're playing a deck that has 1 unique character and several non-unique characters and might be playing endless ranks, I think it's generally the best choice to kill the unique character first, because you know that their dice are staying out of the pool. Like if I've killed FN and I'm working on a Death Trooper, Shane can't use endless ranks to bring FN back. But right now, when he comes out with 5 resources, that extra Death Trooper over there will come back and FN will still be around and so on and so forth. So can get pretty nasty. So there's another overkill played out. And then Snap dies to a vibro knife. So there's 2 Imperial inspections and an aftermath up there off screen. I do apologize. I adjusted the camera in the next rounds here. Oh my goodness, so that disrupt side is hit. 2 Imperial inspections take away both overkills. That's a 4 resource hit. And eBaze is down to 2 dice on his side of the board now. That is awful. Now Snap's dice are gone. Shane's got 3 resources. He's got the dice advantage now. That was a big swing. Yeah, definitely. If keep a couple of 3 cost upgrades in your deck so that you can overwrite them if you're ever running into an Imperial inspection. Because, whew. So aftermath gave Shane a resource there when Snap died, and he's well on his way to an endless ranks now, it looks like. So Shane's discarding to re-roll. And he gets a 1 melee and a +2. Knock. And then does 1 damage to eBaze. So it looks like Thomas must have claimed a few actions ago. Z6 comes in on top of that vibro knife. One of my favorite weapons in the game. It's really great on FN. Shane should have used FN's ability to roll it in, but I guess it's optional technically. He probably forgot about it. There's another A180 getting discarded, so Thomas definitely could have overwritten an overkill there that turn. The A180 has more consistent damage. I know it sounds silly because the overkill has 4 damage sides, but the problem is with eBaze, if you've got no money, he's basically only got 1 range damage side that can be resolved. So it's kind of ugly. I mean, if you put a 2 cost upgrade there, then you're basically sitting on 1 damage side that you can resolve unless you've got an unmodified range damage side from somewhere else. So now all of a sudden, eBaze has 2 dice, and Shane over there on the left has 3, potentially 4. If Shane claims the battlefield this turn, now that Snap is gone, eBaze will be down to 1 die versus 4. So eBaze rolled in, got a 2 and a blank, and Shane flanked the 2. So this is not looking good for Thomas at this point. There's 18 hit points left on Shane's side versus 10 on Thomas's side, and the potential for an endless ranks next turn if Shane doesn't spend any money. I mean, I guess he has to draw it too, but who knows? You sort of hang out of those things, I guess. Unless you're playing against Ankar or Kylo.
That was my mistake. I was playing a lot of the hands like going to do it, so when you're done.
Thomas is passing. Shane overwrites the vibro knife with a hold-up blaster. So he rolls in the hold-up blaster, gets a blank.
Statistically, I should have hit this. So you sort of still need to play it that way.
Rolls in. The riot control baton gets a 3 for 1. So he probably doesn't want to pay for that, but I imagine he probably will. It's hard to pass up 3 damage.
No, I mean,
with FN's die and the riot control baton, it might have been tempting to leave that vibro knife around just in case Thomas plays some dug-ins and just go past the shields. But the Death Trooper damage is going to have to go through shields anyway. So looks like Shane dropped a second riot control baton there. So, I mean, right now, the endless ranks isn't really necessary. A second riot control baton on FN would be just glorious. So Thomas plays defensive position, gets rid of the riot control baton die. Death Trooper comes in, gets a 2 range. So Shane's probably going to try to re-roll that hold-up blaster die. He's got the money to pay for it. There's 3 damage sides on it that are usable. And if he can connect the +2 with the 2 on the Death Trooper, that's a pretty good start. So Thomas better just make darn sure that he gets to claim this time. So he plays It's a Trap, spins eBaze die to a 2, and hits FN for 2. It worked. Not exactly the biggest It's a Trap I've seen, but it's not terrible. I mean, every little bit counts, right? So Shane re-rolls and gets a resource on that, and then Thomas claims and keeps FN's die off the board. Now that the hold-up blaster's out there, and it's got a pay side and a modified side, I'd definitely be taking that Death Trooper die away, because it's got 3 sides of the dice that'll connect with the +2 and the hold-up blaster. So air superiority comes out on Shane's side of the board, and he puts a shield on FN, making Baze's job even harder. It's a 31 hit point deck. It's got some shields now. It's got $5 so it can pay for endless ranks. And Shane discarded a riot control baton. It's got redeploy. I don't think I would discard that. I mean, you could even overwrite the riot control baton with a riot control baton just to get an extra die in. I mean, if you had it in hand and you were ending the round, your opponent claimed already, just overwrite the Z6 with the Z6 and see if you can get another couple damage on it. I mean, even if you wanted to save your money for an endless ranks, there's 2 sides on it, well, 3 sides on it that are usable that don't cost you anything. And it's got that reroll too. So.
It just turned out that I think I savage stand you twice and never. So.
Shane was just saying he's getting a little word on time because Thomas is taking a little bit longer than he's used to. He knows that Thomas isn't slow playing or anything like that. It's just that he's a newer player. So another overkill comes out on Thomas's side. I would have thought that he might have learned his lesson with that Imperial Inspection out there by now. FN rolls in a +2 and a blank. He re-rolls the Z6 and gets another blank.
Let's roll in.
Yeah, the one thing that I wonder if people know is with the stun baton.
Baze comes in with a +2, a blank, and a blank. So modified sides and blanks for days here. Looks like Shane forgot to ready that air superiority. Shane plays at a DH-17 on the Death Trooper.
I'm gonna.
And then Thomas is doing some re-rolling, which is not a bad call.
Yeah, like Baze and overkill is how they should have done FN stun baton.
So that's the perfect reroll. He's got a +3, a resource, and a 3 for 1. Oh, never mind. So Shane plays the best defense, gets rid of both Baze's dice, which means that overkill die is basically unresolvable. That's one of the things that's the problem with a die that has completely modified size, just like Lure of Power. If it's alone, it does nothing. So Thomas played Rebel Assault, got rid of the riot control baton, and Shane plays it in Imperial Discipline. Imperial Discipline is one that lets you remove the Imperial Discipline die to turn a die to a side showing resources or range damage. Shane rolls in the Death Trooper after Thomas claimed and gets a 1 range, a +1 range, and a +2 range, so he's got 6 damage there to put onto Baze, leaving Baze with only 3 hit points now. Even though that carbon freezing chamber has been keeping FN's die there, I mean, he's only a 10-point character. His dice isn't that great, but it's definitely, as soon as Snap dies, man, that battlefield becomes a danger to you, so it's kind of rough. So now there's 5 dice on Shane's side and 3 on Thomas's side. The disparity's not too bad, but it's costing Thomas all his money to keep those overkills out there and resolve those dice. So Baze rolls in a resource, and a +3.
You can keep it if you want me.
Shane's still got those 2 Imperial Inspections and the air superiority with a shield left on it.
Roll in.
FN comes in, gets a 2 melee and a 1 resource. Definitely wouldn't be re-rolling that 2 melee. Unless Baze is 3 damage. Oh, he is 3. Baze is 3 damage away from being dead, but I think I would take the 2. Thomas field medics Baze and Shane takes a resource. He's got 5 resources now. It's endless ranks territory. I mean, the last thing Thomas needs to see right now is another Death Trooper come back to life. Baze re-rolls, gets a 2 ranged and a blank, so he's got 5 damage showing there, which is unfortunately not enough to kill anything, but Doubt gets played on the Baze die. Let's see what he comes up with here. It's a 3 for 1. So he pays 1. And he's gonna put 3 into.
If I do that, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. Right.
It's a tough call at this point. I mean, FN's got 2 redeploy weapons on him right now and 2 shields, so it's probably better to do the Death Trooper for sure there.
Well, before anything crazy.
And then Endless Ranks comes out. That is probably the nail in the coffin. That fresh Death Trooper there. Shane now having 22 effective hit points versus Thomas's 5. The eBaze snap deck is pretty nasty. It's just a matter of it just didn't come together very well this time. Planetary Uprising is really great if you can get it out early. So Death Trooper rolls in and sends that overkill back to Thomas's hand once again.
Let's discard.
And the players are having a little bit of discussion about what happens to the die when Imperial Inspection hits an upgrade, and it does. You get the upgrade back to your hand, and then the die is removed from the pool, so it goes to the set-aside area. So Shane's got 2 damage showing there. He's got a Death Trooper to roll in yet. He's got Imperial Discipline to turn one of the Death Trooper dice to a 2 ranged, and it looks like it's just about over. So eBaze rerolls, gets that +2. I do have to say, I mean, eBaze is a nasty dude, but post-snap actually sounds pretty good too. He's got an extra disrupt side and 2 damage sides that are not modified, and a much better special. So the Death Trooper rolls and gets a blank. eBaze rerolls his die again and gets a 2 damage, which, if it was enough to kill off a character like that middle Death Trooper, that'd be pretty good, but right now it's just gonna hit him, and that's that. So Shane puts a shield on the Death Trooper in the middle there, and then Thomas hits the Death Trooper anyway and puts him down to 3 hit points remaining. eBaze has 3 hit points remaining. Shane's using the action on the Imperial Discipline to go to 2 damage after Thomas claims, and now he's got a 66% chance of hitting a range damage. Rerolls, gets the +2, kills eBaze, and that is game. So that's the end of our round 1 featured match. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll continue to bring you Destiny content. We've got round 2 coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that, and thanks for watching Starkiller Base.